Richardson from Exeter on water quality.
Representative Guinta, you and I have different points of view on water quality. The Great Bay is one of the treasures of New Hampshire. There are lots of others, but the Great Bay is an important place, particularly for this part of the world. We know that the water quality is impaired. We know the problem is nitrogen. We know nitrogen comes from stormwater and wastewater. The science is clear. It's been worked on for as long as I've lived in New Hampshire. And you offered a bill to delay action for 5 years. I would argue that the time is now. We should find ways of helping the communities to work through their problem of getting funded. And we've heard a lot about money tonight, but here's a place where if we wait 5 years, it's going to be a new problem again. The science will have changed. It always is changing. It's a tough topic, but anything you can do to get funding for the communities would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Well, I know someone else over here who asked me to speak about it, so hopefully I can encompass my response to the questions or concerns that you have. When I first took office and met with the EPA, they talked to me about Great Bay. The contiguous communities here in New Hampshire asked to meet with me as well, and I did so. And essentially, what I derived from those meetings is that the EPA and the contiguous communities have differences of opinion about, number one, science. They do. Well, they do. They have differences of opinion. I mean, at Exeter, Portsmouth, Durham, all were in this meeting, and they all told me that they did not believe the science in the EP-mandated study that the Department of Environmental Services did here in New Hampshire. They commissioned their own study, paid UNH to do a study, and they came to different conclusions. And let me tell you what they do agree on. They agree on preserving Great Bay. They just have different manners in which they like to do it. And I think this is an area where there's general and broad agreement, and I think evidence of that is, Senator Ayotte, Senator Shaheen, and Governor Lynch have now signed on and supported the initiative that I'm working on, which is essentially, it doesn't say don't solve the problem. All it says is give the community some time. I'll tell you why. Right here in Exeter, if the EPA mandated to set nitrogen levels at, 3 milligrams per liter, that's going to require an immediate infusion of $52 million from the town of Exeter.
It's going to cost more than 5 years from now?
Well, I'm not sure that it will, because when you look at the science again, these are the communities that came to me who have said we would like you to file legislation to give us time. I mean, I'm responding to what the communities on your behalf have asked me to do. And what the communities are saying is, they're not saying we don't want to clean it up. What they're saying is give us some time. It's going to cost us $52 million. And that's according to EPA science, and they disagree with EPA science. So, that being said, I think there's an opportunity here to work with both parties and try to figure out what a reasonable solution is. Portsmouth estimates their cost at about 100, and by the way, EPA and the communities are roughly the same on the cost. Portsmouth, if you live in Portsmouth, it's $100 million. Durham is talking about quadrupling or tripling their water rates as a result. Portsmouth is talking about quadrupling or tripling their water rates. These are significant issues that have been brought to my attention by local community leaders that asked for just more time and to find a way to agree on the science and then agree to a reasonable solution. I think that that's actually it's a good way to try to solve the problem. Dave, just because we're on topic.
Thank you. I would just offer this, that as long as you wait for 5 years, the water quality in Great Bay will continue to deteriorate. The facility in Portsmouth is a primary treatment only facility. They've been delaying upgrading that plant for 15, 20 years. They just have not been able to find the funds to make the upgrade. They need to upgrade the secondary treatment. Right now it's primary treatment going out into the ocean. They're basically just tossing any pathogens and disease things that are coming through Portsmouth right out into the ocean.
Well, I'm just talking about nitrogen now. I'm not talking about
I'm talking about primary versus secondary treatment. That's what we're talking about.
The bill that I filed is solely about nitrogen. It's not about any other upgrade that local communities would need to invest in their wastewater treatment plants.
That's based on, it's not based on nitrogen, it's based on going from primary to secondary treatment to obey a permit, which...
Well, that's not, I can tell you, we may have just an area of disagreement because I'm being told something different from Portsmouth. So, I'm just telling you what Portsmouth is telling me. That being said, I think there's an opportunity here to try to find common ground. One of the interesting things that was conveyed to me by the communities was, how did the last 2 100-year storms that we had in a 2-year period affect this, and could there be other alternative solutions? And again, until we can have some agreement on the science, they're just simply asking for some additional time to work this out. So I'm happy to be working with Governor Lynch and Gene Shaheen, the community of the EPA, and try to find a reasonable solution where there's general and broad common ground.
Next question.
Steve Durden, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and thanks very much, Congressman, for coming out. I know you're trying to make America a better place for all of us, and we appreciate it. I want to make one statement that I don't know when you're talking about. I live in Portsmouth, and I've done some investigation on this. And one thing we can't do is jump to conclusions. Now, in Portsmouth, because I care about the environment, but I also care about people and their ability to live. And he was speaking about the waste treatment plant. Now, if we go ahead and just put in the secondary, they want to put in the secondary component in the waste treatment plant, right off the bat, that's going to increase electricity use by 60%. So an immediate deleterious effect on the environment based on that alone. So then what you do is you have to make a qualitative judgment between 2 things. What's the empirical data coming out of the river, and how does that look? Well, I sat down with the engineers in Portsmouth, and I talked with the EPA. I tried, as a citizen, to do some investigation myself about this. I couldn't see. Now, this is someone, I don't believe in partisanship. I don't believe in playing a political game. I just believe in trying to see the world be a better place, and specifically New Hampshire be a better place for all of us. Looking at the data, thought that we should just really take a harder look at this before we go with these cookie-cutter solutions. Remember, these bureaucracies, they live to keep themselves going. They don't